It's time for another round of the Smash Our Stash collaboration, and this month the theme was scraps. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. This is the Smash Our Stash collaboration. It's a collaboration I host that focuses on using up some of those items that you tend to either hoard in your stash, or maybe you bought a bunch of and then you tend to forget about them. So each month has a certain theme, and there are collaboration members who are participating in this collaboration with me each month. And so there's a hashtag in the title and in the description box below that you can click on to see the participants for this month's collaboration. If the hashtag brings in some weird results, there should be an option that says either refine search to hashtag only or search hashtag only, and that will clean it up a little bit. But this month the theme was actually scraps. So if you follow my channel, you know I tend to focus on scrap paper on my free months, the free choice months, but this month it actually is scraps, which could be any scraps: paper, fabric, fiber, vinyl, wood, any kind of scraps that you have, you can play with on the scraps month. So I decided to work on my red, white, and blue scraps. And I did pull in some other scraps, but I did focus on that. And I have a lot to show you today, so I'm going to try to get through things fairly quickly. But I did do a set of scrapbook pages for 4th of July from 2018. And I did two 2-page layouts and a single page layout, and each one kind of uses different scraps. These were some bigger scraps I had of like the wood grain pieces, and I was also trying to focus on using up, these are chipboard, like dimensional 4th of July embellishments. I had like a whole bunch of those like just loose in my stash that I think popped out of like a, they were in a chipboard sheet, but they all kept popping out, and so like I think I just kind of collected them all. So I tried to use those up to get those out of my stash because they were taking up a lot of space. So I peppered in a bunch of those along with my wood grain scraps and managed to get a 2-page layout for this one. Some different scraps this time. I used, I had a little bit of this like 4th of July words, and brought in some red and white polka dot scraps. And then these were, I believe, Bella Boulevard embellishments. And then this was Echo Park, but the colors kind of worked for both. And so I kind of mixed and matched on those, but used up a bunch of those embellishments as well. And then this is a single page layout. And this is actually 2 different scrap pieces. One was just a strip, and the other one was like a weird stair-step scrap. So I kind of pieced them together and then did a kind of messy grid with my photos to make it look like it was a continuous piece going across, and just covered up all of the holes and anytime you could see the red through. And then again, focus on using up some of those chipboard pieces, and then some star like scatter that was in my stash as well. So then next I focused on cards, and these are the 3.5 by 5 inch note card size, because I'm still trying to use up a bunch of envelopes that size, and I'll be using these either for like thank you cards, either for soldiers or veterans. Like I'll sign the inside and send them off to Cards for Soldiers. So I did do some with sketches. This is Operation Right Home 115. And I do have like a scrap of some sort on the inside of all of them. I used a variety of sentiments that were either already like stamped in my stash or just embellishments that were in my stash. Mojo Monday, sketch 547. And I tried to find sketches that I could make multiples of because I had a ton of scraps to use. This is just I Love Sketches, September 2011. And I used like die cuts that were in my stash. I had die cut things from scraps in the past. This is Sunday Sketches 22. And so I, brought those in where I could as well. Operation Right Home sketch number 25. I had a bunch of strips, and so this was kind of the last sketch I did with some of those strips. This sketch used up a bunch of them. This is SC 581, and just did a variety of things for the center. It's the circle element there. Sometimes it's an embellishment, sometimes it's a sentiment. Sunday Sketches number 4. This was vinyl phrase that I had cut out of scrap vinyl in the past. More of those chipboard pieces. And then I have a bunch that didn't use sketches at all, that I was just trying to use up what I had left. These were some bigger pieces that I was able to combine together with some either die cut stars or like ephemera. Whoops. And then these are like smaller scraps. Like I used up a bunch of strips on these layouts. And I tried to focus on scraps for the mats as well. This was actually like a card kit that I had left over. That I had somebody who would order red, white, and blue cards for me, and I had a bunch of these strips left over in the card base, so I just made up that last one. And then just kind of a hodgepodge, trying to use up this one just used up a bunch of die cut stars and a vinyl word phrase cut out of scrap vinyl. Just trying to use up things that were in my stash, and I pretty much blew through all of my red, white, and blue scraps. Had some stickers. So, a bunch of those. And then there were a few scrap cards on my desk that I had made from a previous month that I wasn't able to finish for some reason. I don't know if I didn't have a card base or what, but so these were scrap ones that I finished. Some order thank yous, and then just some other cards. Then back to red, white, and blue. I made some little firework trio sets with some of the strips as well. So these are just like, they were scrap wood pieces that we had, and these were already cut down, and I just used the sizes so you can see like they're not all the same like width or thickness, but the size, the height worked for me, and so I grouped those together. But basically they're just scrap pieces of wood that I sanded and painted, and then used Mod Podge to add the paper onto all of them. And then this is just twine knots that I tied and then glued them together with some twine. So that's a bigger set. That's like a shelf sitter. And then I have a smaller one that is good for like tiered trays, and just did the same thing. So these you could also do if you have like if you have like small scrap pieces, or if you've bought the little blocks from me or from Dollar Tree, as long as you have varied sizes, you could do a little trio with these as well. We do have blocks available in our shop, and I will link those in the description box if you want them, but just did the same thing. And these are, again, different widths, different heights, because you want the different heights so that you can kind of see them all, but the width doesn't necessarily matter. So have 2 of those, and that was pretty much the paper scraps that I used. And then I had started this a long time ago and hadn't finished it. This is 3 arrow signs from the Dollar Tree that I turned into fireworks. I added black paper, used Mod Podge, added black paper at the top for the tops of the fireworks, and then did different patterns for the base of the firework, or the tubes, I guess. And then some more of those chipboard pieces I added. And then this is a like stir stick that I cut down and painted, but I had needed to cut a phrase to go on here. And so when I went through my scrap vinyl looking for a piece big enough to do my phrase here, I also went ahead and used up some of those scraps to cut down either embellishments that I can use on cards, or I did a couple of titles for like fall scrapbook pages. And then also my daughter has a junior entrepreneur market coming up this summer, and one of the things she sells are like little backpack tags. And so I did a couple things out of scraps that, you know, she could add on to her, like to backpack tags, and then it, you know, it's like an acrylic circle with a hole, and then you use like a clasp or a hook of some kind. So I used a bunch of scraps for some of those as well. What else? I did make a little more progress, not much, on that big scrap bin that I have by my die cutting machine. But overall, I feel really good. My scraps are like manageable. I've been able to condense them a lot. Probably the next biggest scrap batch I need to work on are fall scraps, which is good because fall's coming up and I do need fall items. So that is my haul, or my make for the month of July. Please, again, be sure to check out that hashtag to see what the other collaborators, what kind of scraps they work on and what kind of projects they made with their scraps. This is a great collaboration to see different ways to use the same items. So hopefully you guys enjoy looking at that. But as always, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you all have a very crafty day.